on in, and I didn't think I would be here. I did not think I was going to do another review on Married at First Sight, but I did watch the Where Are They Now? And y'all, I just had to get back on here and talk to you. I really had to get back here and talk to you because let me tell you something. Do y'all think the tough love worked? Do you all think the tough love, and when I say tough love, I'm talking about the tough love from all of us, the audience, the people out there on Instagram, Twitter, us, YouTube people. I think it worked, y'all. I think some of these people on this season of Married at First Sight hurt us. I do. Sure, we might have made some of them cry, but I think some of them hurt us because when I watch this Where Are They Now, I actually see some growth in a lot of these couples and a lot of the people. I see some growth. Y'all, I want to say it right now. I feel like hugging Kirsten. I felt like hugging Kirsten. I feel like Kirsten learned her lesson. I really do. I think Kirsten got it, everybody. I think Kirsten got it, and I think Kirsten realized her plan was a bad plan going in. And if she had it all over to do, she would do it differently. I really, really believe that. Kirsten was my MVP for the person I believe learned the biggest lesson. I'm going to say that right now. She is my MVP for the person who learned the biggest lesson this whole season. And I'm actually proud of her. I'm really proud of her. Kirsten, if you listen to me, your Auntie Deborah said, girl, you did good. Girl, you're doing better. And I got hope for Kirsten. I got hope that even if she and Shaq never make their way back to each other, that Kirsten will go on to her next relationship and she will be different. She won't be playing that same playbook. I think Kirsten has learned her lesson, y'all. I really, really do. But I'm going to go on this I'm going to go through my review. I'm going to go on through it as I was watching it because I actually love the review. I thought there was a lot of good things that happened. I had a lot of comments to make. So we're going to go through this. First thing I was thinking was Kirsten sure is thicker. Kirsten came up in here thick. I think she might have got a little bit thicker since she's been off camera. Then I was thinking, where has this fun Kirsten been? We saw the fun Kirsten at the the bachelorette party. Then after that, she disappeared. The fun Kirsten showed up for the bachelorette party. Then after that, we end up seeing a picky, a judgmental Kirsten. This Where Is They Now? The fun Kirsten was back. The fun Kirsten was back. And what I realized was in the beginning, before Shaq even showed up, the fun Kirsten was everywhere. I even think Kirsten must have been very instrumental in planning this weekend because she kept telling everybody, thank you for coming. She was playing hostess. This is this room here. This is this room there. I wonder if she participated in some of the planning for this weekend, if she worked with the producers, if she found the house. I don't know what she did, but she seemed to have a big hand in planning this weekend, maybe because she wanted it. I suspect she might have wanted it because she wants a reunion with Shaq. I'm going to get to it later on, but I think Kirsten is in love with Shaq. I think Kirsten is in love with Shaq, but she hasn't done enough growth to be able to say it. That's what she needs to be able to get to eventually. She needs to be able to get to the point where she can say it. But I believe that Kirsten is in love with Shaq. I told y'all from the beginning that even when she was picking on him in the very beginning and she was being picky, it was never because Kirsten didn't like Shaq or didn't think Shaq was good looking, all that. She was doing it as a way to draw him more near. She was being picky to make him work harder. Kirsten has a big problem expressing what her true emotions are. And I think here in this Where Is It Now, I think she's in love with Shaq. She's having a real difficult time letting go. She cried a lot in this episode. I believe that Kirsten is in love with Shaq. And I think that she is uncomfortable around men, period. I don't know where this comes from with Kirsten. She probably does need to go to a therapist, sit down, because I think the uncomfortableness that we saw with her doing Shaq was why all that pickiness and judgment was coming through, when the reality was she doesn't quite know how to act around Shaq. And I think she might not know how to act around a lot of men. I even go back to that time. I don't know if y'all remember the scene when they were in the bar and those guys were trying to hit on her and Jasmine. And Kirsten was coming at that guy pretty hard. She didn't quite know how to laugh at all. She didn't quite know how to relax in the moment, even though that guy was hitting her. Remember she said to him, oh yeah, she was saying a few things to him, but it was coming off a little harsh. I kind of believe that Kirsten is uncomfortable around men when there's a romantic interest involved. And I think that changes the way she reacts. Because I said when this show first came on, I thought Kirsten was going to be much more of a fun girl. She's a sorority girl. She likes to have fun. She likes to laugh. She likes to dance. She likes to party. But all of a sudden, when she got into marriage, we got this completely boring, can't talk, judgmental Kirsten. And I think it might have to do with, is she comfortable around men? She says she's a daddy's girl, but like I told you before, I don't believe that. I don't believe that, because typically women who are daddy's girls, they have a certain level of comfortability around other men because they're used to that male energy from their father. I actually think Kirsten's the opposite. She says she's a daddy's girl, but I think she is uncomfortable around men. And it's too bad that it took her this long to warm up, to start seeing this fun side of her, to see this part where she was complimentary to Shaq. She was easygoing. She was sweet. She showed emotion. She showed vulnerability. This is what I wish we would have seen from her from the very, very beginning. But I think Kirsten has learned a big, big lesson. And I know she's crying because she feels she might have missed a big opportunity. And if they don't get back together, she did miss a big opportunity. She missed a big one. But it doesn't mean she can't recover from it. But she did miss a big opportunity. And it's unfortunate. But I'm happy to see that she has made some wonderful progress. Wonderful progress. I see Gina done slimmed down. Is it just me, or did we think that Gina slimmed down? Gina said, I heard all you negative people out here talking about me when I said I was a 26 size waist, and all of you laughed at my face. I'm going to show you people I'm going to really get down to a size 26. I think Gina has finally started really hitting the gym. I know she was telling us before she does these HIIT classes every day. That was a lie, Gina. That was a lie. But it looks like during these last 5 months or whatever, Gina done hit the gym and or she's cutting back on what she's eating, because it looks like Gina slimmed down. It looks like she really did slim down. I noticed when they were asking everybody, where's Dom? Where's Dom? People was rolling their eyes. And then later on at the end of the show, Dom started complaining, talking about she's left out of things. I'm going to get to that too. Because let me tell you something. Dom is a piece of work. That's what I believe. And I do believe she's left out of things. Not left out of things, but I think Dom doesn't respond. Because I'm telling you right now, that little speech she gave at the end talking about, well, I didn't know y'all was meeting, and then you meet and you change the time. Listen, we all know how group texts work. Everybody's in the group text. And when the time gets changed to meet, guess what? It's in the group text. And if you don't read your group text, then guess what? You don't know the time has changed. So Dom up here trying to blame everybody else for not including her. Dom's on that group text. They don't have two group texts. I don't believe they have two group texts. I think they have one. And what Dom does is she probably doesn't check her text. And then by the time she does check it and read the message, it's too late. The time was changed. The girls already met. And now she's saying she feels left out. When I start talking about who learned something, she might have learned a few things, but she didn't learn all her lessons. That's why she should have stayed on the show. She should have stayed on the show because she would have learned more lessons. And that's what we all were trying to tell her from the beginning. So what if you didn't want to be with Matt? But you missed out on some very, very valuable lessons. And I always tell people this. You can decide whatever you want to do. Dom decided she wanted to leave after 12 days. Then guess what? You miss out on other stuff. You can't do both. You can't leave early and then be mad and sad that you don't have a bond with the ladies. That's on you. You can't leave early and then say you didn't learn all your lessons. That's on you. That's what a part of being a 25 is about, because you're not really weighing all the pros and the cons. She should have stayed the whole time, because if she would have stayed the whole time, she would have learned a lot more about herself. Now we find out she's out here so-called dating somebody else, but they're not even exclusive. Girl, I told her last time, let me tell you, if you're not exclusive, then he's not your boo. It's a booty call. Stop calling people your man, your boyfriend when you're not exclusive, because that means he's a lot of people's man. But she doesn't come up in her professional life. Dom says she's a regional director at 25. Let me tell you, to have that sort of responsibility, that sort of title at 25 years old, that's an accomplishment. I have to give her that. That's a huge accomplishment. So she's obviously doing something right in her career, to the point that she's getting promoted to be a regional director for any type of large company. Kudos to Dom for her success in her career. Kirsten was dropping hints all season long, talking about the dress she was bringing for this big party they was going to have. She said by the time her husband sees her in this dress, he might want her back. Kirsten, I just wanted to give her a hug. This girl, I really do believe she's in love with Shaq. She is in love with Shaq because she is trying hard to get this man back. She really does want him back. I'm telling you, Kirsten, if you want him back, you better tell him you love him, and you better tell him you're ready to move from Tennessee. Girl, you're going to have to go all the way. Let me tell you, when you mess up as bad as you messed up, Kirsten, in the beginning, you're going to have to go all the way. All the way. You're going to have to tell him that you love him. You're going to have to tell him and you were willing to move for him. You're going to have to go all the way. I'm sorry. I don't know what else to do. I don't know what else to tell you. We found out that Nicole is over here bartering Gina for some work. They get to the retreat and they're up here talking salon business. Even Clint said, I hope we're not talking about the salon still. And then we find out that Nicole, she must be unemployed now. She must be unemployed looking for a job because they later on talk about how she was interviewing. So in the interim, she decides she's going to help Gina with some marketing, and Gina going to do her hair for a little bartering, whatever. But guess what? I guess Nicole ain't going to be out there buying no $1,500 sofa or chair now that she's unemployed. I know she ain't going to be buying no $1,500 chair now. Now she's dependent, probably more so, upon the support of her husband. She better be glad she got a husband. She better be glad she got a husband to help carry some load on this financial end, since now it sounds like she's either quit a job or she got laid off from a job or something, and she's in between jobs, and she's interviewing for a job. And I know it's tough out there interviewing. I know it's tough, Nicole, because like I said, I just started a new job myself back in April, and it is a lot of work interviewing, but I think it's humble, Nicole. I think when I talk about the tough love, I think Nicole got it too. Because Nicole got a lot of tough love out there. And I think what she realized is you don't know everything, Nicole. You don't know everything. And although she couldn't tame down her butting in down all the way, she toned it down. She toned it down a little bit that made her bearable. I told you the last couple of reviews, I could barely listen to Nicole. She got on my doggone nerves. But I was able to listen to her this episode. She toned it down enough that I could listen to her, which means all the tough love out here, it worked. Now, should people have been talking about her and her weight and her arms? No, they probably shouldn't have been doing all that. But the other parts, when people told her she needs to be quiet, she needs to butt out, she needs to learn how to hold her tongue and all that other kind of stuff, that tough love, it worked. Sometimes people need some tough love. And the problem that helped happen with these couples is these experts didn't give them none of it. These experts not only didn't give them enough advice, they didn't give them enough tough love and tell these people to cut it out. If some of these people, like Kirsten, had gotten more tough love in this season, who knows? Maybe she could have been able to make this turnaround sooner. Maybe this relationship with Shaq wouldn't have had to come out the way it did. Maybe she could have changed herself a little bit sooner in the process had someone really sat down with her and gave her some really, really tough love. So I'm not going to be so hard on all of us YouTubers and all of you guys who drop down the chat, IG, Twitter, because I think our tough love worked. When Shaq started talking about he was going out on dates in this last little interim, did you see the sadness on Kirsten's face? She was sad to hear that this man had started going out with other people. Gina said that she got a new hey big head. Growth. We're talking about did people grow? Gina, I'm still on the fence. I'm going to say she grew, but when she tells me who she's going out with, it tells me it's not changed. Because Gina has told us that she's going out with a man who obviously, she said she's known for 10 years. She later on tells us it was a hey big head, which means he was a hey big head on her, which means she knew him 10 years ago. And what a hey big head means is he passed on you before, but now he's doubling back, which means this guy passed on Gina earlier. Now that he's seen her on Married at First Sight, found out through the grapevine, she's on this show being married. He's doubled on back to her. And he said, hey, big head Gina, you want to get together? And Gina's like, yeah, I'm ready to get together. This still points to this part of Gina where Gina's like a little puppy dog. She goes where the little dog bone is. Whoever gives her the dog bone is where Gina goes. That's why she didn't get along with Clint, because Clint wasn't feeding her enough and pumping up her ego. But anytime a man comes around and pumps up Gina's ego and puts out a little bid for her, she falls at their feet. She's ready to go. That's still telling me that Gina hasn't made enough progress as I want her to make. It still tells me I want to see Gina doing something different. But now what I see is just like she got used by Matt. She found out that after that reunion, she said, I didn't hear from you no more. That's right. He wasn't interested. He was gassing you up. Gina still falls for the okie doke. She still falls for the gassing of the up. She's still a little bit too thirsty for it for me. She's too thirsty for it. So any guy that comes along and gives her sweet nothings, she falls for him. Now she got this guy coming back after 10 years. She's falling for him. Now she figures out that Mac was just blowing smoke up her butt, and he started dibbing and dabbing on what he was talking about, saying, well, afterwards I realized I felt a little bit uncomfortable. I was a little bit nervous about talking to you. All this backtracking. I talk about people who ain't made no progress. I'm gonna have to say I don't think he's made any. He's still a liar. He's still shifty, and I'm gonna get to him too. Chris has gotten a little fluffy. He did. He done put on a few love handles. He done added about 4 love handles to him. So I guess while Nicole is off work, she must be cooking, because he has a couple of new love handles he didn't have 5 months ago. But one thing he did say, he said they on the same page of waiting on these kids. He said we might need to just travel a little bit, have some fun before we get ready to pump out these babies. Remember, before he was wanting babies, Nicole was saying she was iffy about babies. She wanted to wait. But it sounds like they're on the same page. They're not ready to pump out these kids right away. They want to wait until later on. They want to travel a little bit, enjoy each other. So it sounds like there's been a little bit more coming together of the minds on that part. They all were talking about how they're reading all the, so-called hate mail and all the critical judgments coming from the audience. I bet there was a lot. I know there was a lot. But in between a lot of people who were being mean-spirited, there were a lot of people out here who really were trying to give them some good advice, some tough love, and I consider myself one of them. Sure, I was really hard on Kirsten. I was really hard on Kirsten because I wanted to see the improvement I saw from Kirsten today. Be honest with you, I'm happy about what I did. Was I hard on Kirsten? I was. But if my hardness on Kirsten helped in any way get Kirsten to where she is and this where it is now, I count it as good. I do, because somebody needed to move Kirsten from where she was. So anybody who participated in that, whether it was me too, I'm happy it happened, because I'd rather she go through this period of tough love now than not, but then never to learn her lessons and keep repeating the same mistakes over and over again, and she never gets to where she wants to be, which is married with a family. It was talking about all the hate mail that Aries was getting, talking about, Aries. Why do people think that about Aries? Aries is out here feeding the homeless. Aries is out here running marathons. He probably is, because that's another person who I think has done some change. Can y'all believe iRobot Aries almost shed a tear? Almost. He didn't quite get there, because I know he probably didn't run or rust his outer wear. Let me stop. I'm going to move Aries from the robot. You know what, Aries? I'm going to move you from the robot because I saw some positive signs from Aries. I'm going to tell you one of the biggest signs I saw that Aries has made some progress. When they asked Aries, are you dating? Aries said no. That was the biggest sign right there. That was the biggest sign. First of all, he realizes that when this was being filmed, the show was still on. Didn't nobody want to date Aries. People was watching Aries, and Aries, I think, realized for the first time, let me tell you something, buddy, you're not the prize. You are not the prize. And I think what Aries did was he put the brakes on dating, because before this show, Aries thought he was the prize. And I think the tough love made him look at himself and say, boy, you are not no prize. You need to go on back to whatever closet. You need to heal. You need to get some therapy. You need to do some introspection. And I think what he realized, he needed to do that outside of dating. He even admitted that he didn't come into this sort of open and honest, and he didn't come into this fully healed. And I think we saw this side of Aries this time when he was choking up and talking about his relationship with Shaq, how Shaq has helped him. Now remember, Aries is the oldest man on the show besides Clint. Clint and Aries are the oldest men on the show. But what he was saying was he really bonded with Shaq because Shaq was a good listener. Because let me tell you, Shaq is in tune with his emotional side. And that's the part of Aries that he isn't in tune with. So how do you get in touch with your emotional side? You partner with a person who's already in touch with that side. I know a lot of people are calling Shaq sweet and all this other kind of stuff, but let me tell you, that emotional part of Shaq helped Aries. It showed Aries that, hey, you can show some emotions, you can feel some emotions and not be a robot. A robot is not good. It's not good at all. And I was happy to see that Aries has made some progress, y'all. Tough love has helped Aries too. I do believe it. When they got ready to do this obstacle course they were doing with the drinking and the slip and slide and the obstacle course, you heard Gina say, I'm sure this is Clint's idea because Clint likes to do anything that involves drinking, adventure, and athleticism. Okay. Does that mean Gina is finally admitting that she's not athletic? Because Gina said she's taking it back to her college days, right? Gina said she was out of breath, which means maybe Gina is finally admitting that she don't do HIIT classes every day. Because if you do HIIT classes every single day, this little obstacle course that Clint came up with, you shouldn't even be breathing hard. If you do HIIT classes every day, this little obstacle course, you shouldn't even be breathing hard. I think Gina's finally admitting, y'all, that she's not adventurous, she's not athletic, and she don't take HIIT classes. Finally, she's admitting the truth. But I already knew Mac was going to win this game because any game that involves drinking, Mac's going to win it. I'm telling you, Mac's an alcoholic. He's a borderline alcoholic. I wish y'all could count the number of times when Mac has a drink in his hand. He's always drinking. He's always opening a bottle of liquor and he's always drinking. Mac got a drinking problem. I'm going to tell y'all right now, Mac has a drinking problem, and I've been telling y'all that from the very, very beginning, and I'm sticking to it. He and Gina had that one-on-one talking about why he didn't call Gina after the reunion because he wasn't interested. I told you that, Gina. He's not interested. Stop falling for these fake compliments, Gina. Stop falling for them. Gina's still a sucker for him. She started talking about, yeah, and I invited you down to Tennessee a couple of times. Now she's pursuing Mac. Why are you pursuing him? I thought you wanted a guy to pursue you. Oh, Gina's too thirsty for men. She's too thirsty for the compliment. She really is. She really sets herself up to be taken by a lot of men because men know now all they got to do is compliment Gina. One or two compliments and Gina's going to start falling at your feet. That's all it takes. Some women, you got to give them one or two drinks. Gina, give her one or two compliments. I want Gina to make a better progress in that area. I want her to start judging men, picking men, not based on how much they compliment her, but who that man is. She's choosing men based on how much they compliment her, and she's overlooking character issues in that man. She was chasing Mac, who's got serious character flaws, just because he complimented her. And when you look back at Clint, he may not have complimented her as much as she wanted to, but he didn't have major character flaws. That's a picking problem that Gina has. Mac says he knows who he wants. He wants a homebody woman. He don't want no woman that wants to be out all the time. He does, because Mac likes to sit at home, drink, and probably smoke weed. That's probably what he likes to do. Let me tell you, when you drink and you get high, you don't want to go nowhere. You don't want to go nowhere. You want to be in the safety of your own home so you don't get no DUIs, no DWIs. You want to get high, be at home, sleep, and eat, and drink. Mac don't want to go out. He want a bottle of liquor. He want to sit on the couch. He want to watch some sports. And like he says, he wants to banter back and forth and tell jokes. That's the kind of woman he wants. I tell you, Clint did a good job in the kitchen. That 5-course meal that Clint prepared was fabulous. Fabulous. I love the theme of the dinner. I loved how he tied the meals to separate couples. I thought it was all wonderful. I thought he was a marvelous party planner. I thought it all. I thought those meals, I hope it tasted good because it sure did look good. Kudos to Clint. That is definitely his love language. And I don't know what he does for a living, but he might need to go to Cordon Bleu or something and be a professional chef or a professional caterer or something, because he seems to really, really love it. I love how he told Kirsten and Shaq that they were the salt of the earth, so they became the fish, the scallops. I loved how, like I said, Aries choked up when he was talking about Shaq and how instrumental Shaq has been in his life. I love how he complimented Kirsten on her progress, because they both started in the same place, in which they both were talking about how they're not, attracted to their mates and all this other kind of stuff, and how Kirsten was able to sort of come through that. It was too late. It was too late. The damage was done, but she did eventually come through it. And I think Aries saw that in her, and maybe he fails in some kind of way, and maybe he could have done a better job. I love how he called Dom and Mac, the short rib with the liquor gravy, because you know you need to serve. And let me tell you, it was liquor gravy. It wasn't no brown gravy. It was liquor gravy. Clint got it right. Put some liquor in it for Mac. He gonna have to have everything with some liquor in it. And how the beef short rib was a short rib because the marriage was short. I loved it all. I loved everything about this themed dinner that Clint put together. I love how he called the curried yellowtail fish that he put together for Aries and Jasmine, because he says that Jasmine does have a tail. She does have a booty. I thought that was good. And talking about tough love. Listen, I know a lot of people got on Jasmine. A lot of people got on Jasmine about her teeth. And you know what? It was tough. It was tough. And I'm sure it was tough on her. But let me tell you, she's beautiful. She's beautiful. And I know a lot of people say, well, she didn't need to change her teeth. Let me tell you something. Jasmine has a beautiful soul on the inside, and ain't nothing wrong with her outside and matching her inside. I'm happy that her coming on this show gave her enough courage, encouragement, whatever it took for her to go ahead and do that cosmetic issue to her teeth, because I think it's going to pay a dividends in her life and her self-confidence. So if she had to go through a few tears, through the tough love to get to this point where she went out and did some cosmetic surgery or whatever to her teeth and get here, I'm all for it. Sometimes it's worth it to have a few tears if on the other side you could come out and you could come out better. Jasmine's a young girl. Jasmine is only 30, what, she 31, 32 years old? So if this is what it took for her to go on and start living that life for the rest of her life with a beautiful set of pearly whites, I'm happy for it. Sure, I'm sad that she had to endure the ridicule and the real tough people on the teeth, but whatever it was, the tough love worked, and I'm happy for it. I even like the theme for the chocolate souffle, the dessert that he saved for Nicole and Chris, where the souffle, the rises, the cream rises to the top. It rises over time because these were two. No matter how much I feel about Nicole earlier, they were the only couple that came out of this whole thing married, and the relationship still intact and still happy and still in love. So they did rise above it. They didn't let the drama of the other couples tear them apart, because that could happen to a couple when you're the only couple happy and everybody else was miserable and fighting. You could have seen a scenario where that misery of the other couples could have rubbed off on the Chris and Nicole, but they endured it. They endured it and they rose to the top and they kept their marriage strong. And that's what I like the theme of the dinner. I liked how he described how it reflected upon Chris and Nicole, and I'm happy for that as well. Afterwards, they had a little mimosas. Of course, Mac is popping the bottle again for the mimosas. I'm telling you, he's always going to be in charge of the liquor. He's always going to be in charge of the liquor. And probably if we want our married at first sight, he'd be in charge of the weed too. I know Mac is bringing some good weed to the party. I know he is, y'all. He's VP of weed growing. Any party Mac is giving, there's going to be some good weed there. There is. Jasmine says she and her man are still booed up. I don't know if it's still the man we saw in the episode, if that's the man she's still booed up with. But she said she's made it clear that she wants to be married. She wants to have some babies. And she ain't trying to wait no long time. Good for you, Jasmine. Good for you. And the last little scene there was showing with Kirsten and Shaq and how they were talking about. Kirsten was saying how the trees endured and we endured and trees are firmly planted. I really wish this Kirsten could have showed up a long time ago. I really, really did. It made me almost want to cry, because I just feel like, why wasn't this girl here 8 weeks ago, 3 months ago? Why wasn't she here? I would have loved to see this Kirsten. And when I first saw this couple in the very beginning of the season, I thought, man, this couple might have a shot, because I saw so many things they had in common. But Kirsten, man, she really was not herself this whole, and I don't know if I can say she wasn't herself, but she was really, really, really wound up. And I think what that did was that rubbed off on Shaq. I think Shaq is a picky person, but I think where Kirsten started, it really roused Shaq up even more and got him into that mode. Had Kirsten started where she's starting now, this sweetness, this kindness, this vulnerability, all these encouraging words, I don't think we would have seen all that part about Shaq. Now, would that change who Shaq wants as a wife? No. I am pretty firmly convinced Shaq wants a wife where his career will be first in the marriage. That woman will move with him, will go to events with him, who will travel with him. I do believe all of that. He wants a loving and very supportive wife when it comes to his career. But I don't think he would have been as harsh as he is had we not started where we started. And that's why I almost want to cry like Kirsten's crying. Because I think she really does recognize this was a missed opportunity. I think she does. Dom says she learned in the end not to be so judgmental and to not judge people so soon and be open-minded. That's good. But you see that when Dom left, nobody walked her out to the car. That tells you what people think of Dom. When Dom left for the whole time, she walked out to the car by herself, got in that car. Matt didn't walk her to the car. None of the ladies walked her to the car. None of the guys. But when Kirsten left, Shaq walked her to the car. You need to pay attention to that. You need to really pay attention to that. That tells you how they feel about Dom. That tells you how they feel about Dom. She wants to believe it's because she just so-called wasn't on the show. Might be part of it. But there's another part of Dom where I believe is the same thing that went on in her relationship with Matt. She likes to complain, but in a lot of ways, she's kind of what she complains about. Just like she used to complain about Mac, he was a complainer, she's a complainer. So just like now, when she was saying nobody includes her, they change times, all this other kind of stuff, part of that's Dom. Part of that's Dom. Dom still has a lot of growth to do. And like I said, I wish she would have stayed longer because maybe she would have done a little bit more growth. Maybe she would have done just a little bit more growth to help her going forward. But in the end, I'm glad I watched The Where's It Now. I'm glad I watched it. I feel sad over Kirsten and Shaq. I feel happy for Jasmine. I'm happy for Aries because it looks like he's doing some self-reflection. It looks like he's trying not to be such a robot. He's trying to show emotion. He's trying to show vulnerability. Hopefully he's in therapy, really uncovering where some of this stuff comes from. Did Aries have on that necklace of the dead father? Oh, good Lord. I need to go back and look at it, y'all. Because let me tell you, if Aries has taken off that necklace of that dead father, then I know he's really changed. I'll know he's really changed. I'm going to go back and rewind it and see if I see that necklace of that dead father around his neck. Because like I told you, that's one of the things he needs to get rid of. He needs to take it off and put it in a jewelry box. I'm happy for Nicole and Chris. It looks like Nicole is learning how to tone some stuff down. I'm happy for Clint that he's got a new girlfriend and he says he might be in love. They've been dropping the L-bombs. He's got pictures of her up in the room. Gina, stop being thirsty, girl. Stop being thirsty for the compliments. Stop picking men just because they compliment you. I want to see some more change with Gina in that area. Matt, boy, you still shifty out there. You still shifty out there. Cut back on that drinking. And Kirsten, I don't know if it'll work out between you and Shaq, but I want you, girl, to go all the way. I want you to tell Shaq your real feelings. He may not still get back with you. He may say the time has passed, but you need to go all the way. You need to tell that man that you're in love with him, and you need to tell that man that you're willing to move with him to Houston, Texas. If you want him, if you want to be married to him, because let me tell you, you will regret it if you don't go all the way. You will regret it if you don't say what you're really feeling. It may not end the way you want it to end. He may still reject you. But what you won't be left with at the end of your life is regret. You won't be left with regret and saying, I wish I would have told him my real feelings. Kirsten, go on and tell him. Tell him you're in love. Tell him you're willing to move. You're willing to move to see if it can work. You're a real estate agent, girl. You can sell real estate anywhere. The Texas real estate market is hot. Go on down there, pass the real estate exam, and get a new job. You can do it. Go ahead. Put it out there. Put your feelings out there. Put your heart out there. Don't be afraid. Love is a risk. Love is a risk and nothing is guaranteed. But let me tell you, you can recover from a heartbreak. You can. Even if you put yourself out there and he says no to you, you can recover. But what you won't be left with is you won't be left with regret. And then you would have practiced it, which means when the next man comes along, it'll be easier for you to be open and honest with that man going from the beginning. That is my advice to Kirsten as an auntie. girl, go for it. But that's it, y'all. I do think this is the last one. I'm not gonna watch that next show, that next episode coming on next week, talking about all the back episodes. I'm not gonna watch that. So I'll see you guys next season for Married at First Sight. But any of you who watch me on Ready Love, I think that's starting up today. We're gonna continue with that, and I also do the one with Kirk Franklin. I'm still gonna continue with those reviews. I think that might make my plate full. I've been watching Love and Marriage DC. I've actually liked it. I've seen one episode, but I just don't know if I have time to do the reviews. So if you're not going to follow me on Ready to Love and you're not going to follow me on the one, all my MAFS fans, I guess I will see you next season in Denver. Thank you to all of you who have stuck with me this whole season. You guys have been wonderful. I have loved speaking with you every single week, chatting with you, hearing where we agree, hearing where we disagree. But I'll say this, I know we've all been hard on this cast this whole season, including myself. But I'm going to tell you what, you guys, I think some of our tough love has paid off, and we actually see some progress in these couples. And if that means that they're going to go on to be more successful in their future relationships, then I say it was worth it. It was worth it. Anyway, talk to y'all later. Bye.